Hey everyone, hope you're having a great week and thanks for joining in to another Bona Training Camp video. Let's talk about some of the best practices when using and operating our Bona Power Drive. Some people may think of these as frequently asked questions or tips and tricks. They all kind of run along the same vein. But one of the first ones is always adequate power or proper power. So we want to make sure, because our power drive is a planetary system that has a double reverse. So meaning that the main disc spins one way, so that's a reverse from the hub, and then the other discs spin the opposite way. That's your second reverse. That creates a lot of resistance and friction on the floor and inside the machine. So because of that, it's really important that we have proper power. So the first thing we always recommend is making sure you have a Bona Power station or some type of system like this, where you can take, for instance, like we've got here in the studio. Since we're on a commercial site, we only have 208 coming out of the wall. So I can boost that up and it gets me up to right at 230. And even though on my sanding plate back here, my machine plate, it says I'm at 240 volts, 230 is going to be fine for this machine. And we're also running this through 100 feet of cable, which is also something to keep in mind. Depending on how much cable you've got to run, you never want to start your booster right next to the wall, right next to your source, and then try to boost through 100, 200, 300 feet of cable. Always run your cable as far as you can to your booster, and then you only want to boost the last 50 feet to your machine. And the other thing to check, and this is for people who have older models of power drives as well, check your machine specs, your plates. Very early models of power drives were wound for 220, and all the later models are wound for 240, and you always want to run as close to that as possible. So if I've got one of the 220 models, even though it could run on 230, I may want to just dial that back a little bit. Definitely if I've got one of the 240 models, usually on 208, the most I'm going to be able to pull it up to is 230. So know what your motor is wound to. Use that new multimeter and all the information it can give you just to make sure your machine is running the best that it can. Or if it's running too hot or you're overloading it, this is a 16 amp overload fuse that's going to pop on you, so your machine will turn off. This is just a manual reset, so you may have to wait 15 to 20 minutes for the internal thermal regulator to reset itself. It does it automatically as soon as the machine cools down to a certain temperature, and then you can reset the manual overload here. Then you should be ready to go ahead and sand again. But you got to look back. If that ever happens, what is causing it to overload or get too hot? It could be I have bad cables, right? So if you walk along the length of your cable and kind of feel that after it's been plugged in for a while, you may feel a hot spot. That is, maybe your guy slammed it in the door of the van, or somebody drove over it with a forklift. Anyway, your cable's starting to break down in there. You've got some resistance. You may need a new cable. You also always want to check your plug. So any of your plugs, whether it's the one on the wall, anything connected to your cable, are they secure? Are they tight? Probably a good option, maybe every 6 months, take them apart, loosen them up, put them all back together just to tighten them up, make sure everything is nice and tight. And are they in good condition? Where you want at a situation where maybe you had a problem at the wall plug and maybe it kind of sparked and burned your plug a little there, might have done some bad things to the inside of your plug as well. So check your cables, check your plugs all the way along your route. Make sure that what you've got going into your machine is the same with or greater than, after you boost it, what you've got coming in to the booster. And then we're looking at what other kind of things can I do to the machine to lessen that resistance. So I may have to take off some weights if I've got some of the weights on there. I may have to go to a lesser or a finer grit of sandpaper. Maybe I'm trying to go too coarse and it's just grabbing too much and trying to cause too much resistance there. So think about some of those things that you could do to lessen the load on your machine, as opposed to keep having this thing popping every 10 or 15 minutes, and then you're having to wait to reset it. So adequate power, proper power, key to running your power drive.